Hey there, my name is Niandra. If you've played Mercy before, you'll probably know that she has a setting called Guardian Angel Prefers Beam Target, which changes her up quite a bit depending on if you play with it off, or whether you play with it on. Now, I've always used off, but on kind of fascinates me. I made a Mercy settings video months ago and always regretted not giving on a fairer representation, so maybe I can rectify that here. What I decided to do was just play some quick play games, some alt account placements with the setting on. Instead of talking over full matches, I decided I would then just take a couple of smaller clips and quickly analyse them. I did find the setting a bit clunky and will be sticking with off, but I actually really enjoyed my time with it. One of the benefits is being able to GA to an ally you cannot see, which comes into great play when your ally is forcefully moved away from you. You can also do a lot of really cool prop bounces, and some of them do not require you to press crouch, so definitely keep this setting in mind if super jump ever gets removed. Just gonna say it now, this footage is not pro usage and there's definitely other Mercies who have pushed it more than I have. In fact, a lot of matches looked very similar to my normal ones, bar worse positioning and beam management. Just keep in mind, my performance in these clips won't be amazing because my brain was completely focused on pushing the setting rather than what is the optimal way to play here. Anyway, let's get started. So clip number one, I will admit this is fairly self-indulgent, but I really like it and I still think it's worth showing. Just ignore me gravitating towards a sim orb. Enemy Junkrat uses Riptire, so I want to make distance from Ash. Since I don't have to be looking at her to fly back up, I can fall back until the beam is basically about to break. I can even put walls between us, which would force the tire to travel further. In this instance, moving so much isn't really needed, and it will actually lower my beam up time with a breakage. But like, imagine if I was being attacked by Winston or Genji and throwing myself around like this. I think they could potentially struggle to keep up, especially when it's not obvious where I'm gonna go. I want you to look at this next GA. I got flung backwards really far, and again, it's kind of bad here because I'm far away from my team, but still. To end this clip off, I will say that I heard my Ana taking damage behind me and basically ignored it so I could get my beam back onto Ash. This easily could have been prevented by me simply flicking my camera view around towards Ana once I started travelling up to Ash. Okay, so if I can get my beam on Ana here and then walk backwards so the floor is between us, I should be able to launch myself to her.
Yes, sir.
For this clip we've got Rein Zarya on King's Row, so I generally want to leave as much tank healing to Ana as I can, especially when I've got a great damage boost target with Soldier. I give Ana a little hand in healing the tanks, especially because it's good ult charge for me, but I really don't want to commit to it too much, especially when we're still at the choke. I get my beam on Rein, then walk behind the wall so I can crouch GA and nicely bounce up with it. If I want a damage boost Soldier, I will have to move, so I decide to just beam Zarya instead because she looks high charged. When I do try to reposition, I forget about the restriction and throw myself into a bad spot. I look at my injured tanks. I get Zarya to a point where she has shield health, then turn around, realising Ana isn't positioned to heal them. I then go to damage boost Soldier because he seems engaged. It works out okay, neither tank died, but I do think I should have at the very least kept an eye on them, especially when I knew that Ana wasn't healing them. I GA to Rein to fall back, and I should have thrown my camera view behind me so I could get my beam on Soldier. One thing I've realised is that in general, I'm not great at remembering to turn my camera view around during GA because I get so focused on where I'm going. When the setting's off, I think this can be excused, but with on, you're really hindering yourself if you aren't frequently turning around during GA. Also, just then, I stole a decent amount of ult charge from our Ana by healing our tanks when they were fine. I mainly did so because I wanted my beam on Rein to see if I could do anything by GAing from behind the statue.
Bruh.
Now, we've likely won the fight and this res could probably be left, however it is my second healer and I'd rather not risk it if the enemy is somehow able to recontest. After capping the first point, a bunch of my team pushes up, meaning Ana gets stuck on cart duty and I move up with everyone. I want to show this next sequence because it is a fantastic series of little fuck-ups. So I Valk and try to position myself behind walls so I can target my allies through them and bounce around, which does cause some beam breakage and is probably less safe than strafing behind cover. Okay, even in the context of not playing optimally, I have no idea why I flew forward here. This play is shit and incoherent, and since this isn't a full VOD review, I'm just gonna move on like it didn't happen. I'm gonna try to recover from that bad choice, and I'm just gonna let it play out first. Okay, so what happened there? Why am I here? Well, my beam was on Zarya. She died and my beam then automatically flipped onto Tracer, who blinked behind me. Then I used Guardian Angel. This sequence of 4 events basically occurred in the same half second and left me so confused. If I hadn't flown forward earlier like a dumbass, then I wouldn't have been forced into this position, but I still think it's a really interesting interaction. So I just want to quickly apologise because I recorded this part normally and then I recorded a version in the replay viewer with the HUD turned off, then I accidentally deleted the original clip, so this is just all I have left. Anyway, Ash is going to get CC'd out of view, but thanks to the setting I can just smoothly follow her. The ability to fly to people you cannot see is it's such a small thing, but it honestly feels fucking amazing. It actually made going back to Alpha feel kinda rough, even though that's the setting I've used for 5 years now, because I just kept noticing moments where On would have allowed me to retain beam connection for just a bit longer. Okay, so Genji is going to attack us and I'm going to jump off the edge to create distance. This isn't the smoothest example of me doing so because I forgot there was a fence behind me, but the idea is there. If I hadn't gotten briefly stuck on terrain and immediately started falling back, then I think this clip would have been a pretty cool example. Let's stick with the Lijiang Tower theme, and in typical quick play fashion, this clip begins with 4 ults being used at once. I decided to give the fly to allies through walls during Valkyrie thing another try, see if I can get some good bounces in, and I think some were pretty solid. With Mercy, I often feel like the best positioning is the least flashiest. You know, peeking from behind corners instead of jumping everywhere, and it is hard not to think about that when playing around with this setting. That being said, if I was surrounded, I could see these sharp bounces, which I actually really like, being pretty useful, but I'm just never gonna want to let myself get in that sort of position. So before we get to the meat of this clip, I just want to say that my team did in fact win this match. I played fine besides this. Please do not use this clip against me in court. I realise a pit is coming up and I'm like, that's fucking content right there. There's just dollar signs in my eyes. Kinda what I was talking about in the last clip. This is absolutely more dangerous than just positioning behind my team, but it's so fun. My main mistake was not taking a moment to reposition behind my team once my allies had pushed up and forced enemies into a tiny cramped area. Here I did not jump after hitting the wall, meaning I didn't bounce and was banking on my beam retaining connection. I think in my head it was better to just risk it than potentially get sucked into grav. Could I have prevented this death? Yes. Could I have also asked my Ana to peek me while falling? Also yes, but I did not know what the push to talk key was on this account.